And that's when the cat said, meow. Both, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the coverage here tonight for the V8 Veterans SimSpeed. There are three of us in the commentary box. That joke will have to be explained, but all in good time, my friends, because you see, we've returned to the lovely land of the British Empire. We've lost it. I think we've lost all flow already. My name's Scott Raken. Alongside of me, Simon Mazzomo. Both of us are apparently unable to maintain a straight line of thought tonight, Mez. But this is historic Silverstone, and this is a track that is steeped in legacy. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not as much of a fan of the current layout of Silverstone. I prefer this one.
I will actually back you in that one. I was doing a few laps earlier tonight just to get a feel of the circuit, see what the setup was like that Jamie's put out. And yes, this is one of those tracks where I love this layout. I wish we could do it more often in more cars. Just, it's so unique in that we're used to sort of Silverstone being that, you know, high-speed track, but then you got a few of those real stop-start corners. This gets rid of all of them. It's such a high-speed track, except for as you look at like turn 12, 13, 14. They're probably the slowest corners on the track. It's high-speed the rest of the way. And these cars we've seen already in a few tracks we've gone to, the high-speed tracks do help bring their racing a little bit closer together.
Yep, so one of the difficult things that we're going to have to deal with tonight is obviously dirty air. Fast-moving, flowing corners is going to be an issue. Tyre wear, Mez. I get the feeling fronts are going to be in as much trouble as the rears around here tonight. They tend to get scrubbed with all of that glorious, glorious body roll, or as they tend to call it on the new supercars, droop, as the inside actually rolls up slightly to allow the outside to swing around. Did not know that. That was something I learned throughout the Bathurst weekend. That was really interesting. And again, love the work that Larko does, because every time he opens his mouth, I tend to learn something. In terms of things here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go from the overlay of the old layout of the track on the screen to what the fuel strategy and the fuel calculations look like. Strategy is going to be important here tonight, Mez. And for the first time this season, before the fuel runs out entirely, you can have both of your compulsory pit stops out of the way and on the way home. That's how important it's going to be. Look, I'm thoroughly enjoying this compulsory pit stop nonsense, because to some people, they think it's nonsense. Up here, we just get to talk about fuel numbers on repeat, not have to worry about it.
Yeah, very much so. Obviously, you can tell 40 laps tonight, 202 kilometers, 30%, the 75% mark is going to be 30 laps. Starting at 50 litres, obviously a full tank, and look at that fuel burn, 3.8 litres. They are, because we sit at high speed, at high res for so long, being such a high flowing track, we're burning through a lot of fuel. Critical lap for the second stop, lap 11. That is a massive window that we're opening up for that run to get home. So as you were sort of saying, you could do that run early, get home and fill it up, and then just run it the rest of the way home. But I think tyres are going to play a bigger part in this. I don't think fuel is going to be a huge factor, as we've seen in some of the other races where everyone's sort of just playing the fuel card. Just drop in as much as you need to get home, as little of the time you can. I think tyres, because it's so high speed and there's so much load, the laps I was doing earlier as well, there's so much load on the rear of the rear tires, especially after our first few laps. It's going to be conservation, trying to make them last. So much like we saw this talk at Bathurst, where it was you weren't worried about fuel, you were just worried about keeping tires on it. I think we're going to see a similar situation here.
So does that mean we're going to split things nice and evenly? I reckon you'll probably try and get it out to 13 on that first stop. And then from, well, that is effectively the even pit stop window, isn't it? 13, 13, and 14 will get you home. So little bit of a stab each way, although somebody, look, I'm going to be honest, I think the guys that tended to only add the fuel that they needed, they have done the best out of this compulsory pit stop change to the rules thus far this season. So expecting, I think that's where we're going in terms of the strategy. I think we've seen so far that's the best way to go. Although if a safety car comes out, I wouldn't gamble. If a safety car comes out, I'm not gambling. I've got to be honest with you.
That has been proven multiple times over this season so far. We're not good at trying to calculate what you do with safety cars, so we'll leave it up to everyone else. We'll leave it to the drivers. They understand it a lot better than what we do, obviously, as we're discovering. So, yeah, chance of a interesting though. Chance of a safety car. Honestly, I'm not too sure if we'll get one. It's like I said, Silverstone's one of those sorts of tracks where you generally don't see a lot of safety cars, no matter what league you sort of run in. Even endurance leagues that I've competed in, you don't generally see a lot of safety cars. You might see maybe one or two if you're lucky. So we could potentially have a night where we won't get a safety car and it won't really play a factor.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Nice wide track, and generally, everyone's out here with a nice cup of tea because we are in Yieldy, England, and emphasis on the Yieldy because that also gives us the legacy, the historic layout. See? You see what I did there? Teed that one up beautifully. Ladies and gents, we're going to jump right into our point standings. This is how it looks after 3 rounds of racing action. No surprises at the top. Michael Taliancic has been in and amongst it. He would have been disappointed a little bit at the end of Bathurst, but thus far throughout the season, he has been the standout. How's this, though, for David Kirby? In second spot, equal with Darren Lobb. Darren Lobb did not have a great race last time out at Monza, which means, effectively, drop round is gone for him. Only one drop round this season, Mez, and there are a number of drivers last week that did not have a great race. Taliancic seems to be the consistent standard, but then again, 1 point further back, Damien Cairns with that third place last week.
Yeah. So drop rounds, obviously, still don't want to talk too early about it, but you've got to remember too, even the drop rounds will get you out of trouble. You still need to be consistent, and yeah, like it's going to be easy enough for drivers such as Ken Latta, who had a one-off bad round. He can bounce back today. He can obviously get himself back up in that championship, but you're still going to be consistent, and it does get that little bit harder once you've got that drop round out of the way. It does become a lot harder to try and minimize those mistakes. So Michael Taliancic has got himself in a perfect position. He's got a good bank of points. He's definitely got a drop round up his sleeve. But yeah, still going to be consistent as well. Darren Lobb's just hanging around there. I think Darren will stay there. I think he'll definitely be play a factor. He's got the pace, obviously, and he's already just showing up results. Kirby, just a fantastic round at Monza, and yeah, deserving of popping up into P2.
Sorry, it was the other way around. It was Dave Kirby in P3 last week. It was Damien Cairns in P2. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move straight on into our gridding because I tell you what, qualifying has been run and done, and for the first time in very long time, it's been a return to form for John Latham, who's going to take out pole position. And this one always makes me smile as well, because on the other side of that front row, Michael Stewart, 2 guys that'll be sitting there going, hey, maybe this trip to Britain ain't so bad at all. That's your front row. We'll throw it back to row number 2, and it's going to be Ken Latta off alongside of Matt Vanderkraan. How about this for a row number 2? Vanderkraan has had pace in qualifying the last couple seasons, but it's been the race that has been his letdown. He's been smooth, he's been consistent, he's just about ticked every box he possibly can. When's that next podium coming? How about this for another result? Stephen Grumley sneaks into 5th spot off alongside of Blake Delaney. The number of drivers that are out there tonight and will put their hand up and say, hey, maybe tonight's my night. All the trouble might be behind them. Darren Lobb and Michael Taliancic will be on row number 4. Look for both of these guys to be your championship contenders as we move through the season. They're both going to need a good start from there for a bank of points. Moving 1 row further back, we're going to get Stewie Hall and Chad Lewis to round out our top 10. And for Stewie Hall and Chad Lewis, again, another consistent qualifying effort from both of these guys. The difference has now got to be, we want to see them consistently finishing inside that top 10, and that will be the difference. Moving on back to second place from last week, Damien Cairns in the 88 entry for Accelerate Sim Racing off alongside of Jason Fewens. This might be a battle that we'll get to witness on the Zoom feed tonight. Both of those drivers normally taking part. Chris Funky Miller and Steve Kennedy will make up your 7th row on the grid. And for these guys, well, Chris, matching the hairstyle of Funky Miller's in terms of his paint scheme, always going to pop out in everyone's eyes. It's going to be Paul Warwick and Travis Hunt. We saw Travis, we talked to Travis last week, and that was it, last interview he's ever doing, because look at the luck that he had in terms of things. Off a long from behind these guys will be Dan Hall and Jeff Thomas. Jeff Thomas starting 1 row immediately behind his teammate. Look for him to come through to the top 10. And finally, rounding out our top 20, it's going to be Peter Vanderkraan and Matty Parker in one of Peter Vanderkraan's best ever qualifying performances since he's landed himself in top split. Can he stay nice and squeaky clean this week, Mez?
And we'll flip over to just outside the top 20. P21 will be Tom Duggan. Only 0.6 off pole. Let's just looking at that at the moment. The times are ridiculously close. Michael Quain will line up alongside in 22nd. Bruce Tannick will be starting out at 23, not helping his championship at the moment, staying this far down, but long race can obviously recover. Damien Cross will be out of P24. Dave Kirby, P2 in the championship, down in 25th, so not a great qualifying to start, but plenty to do. Dean Flavel will be alongside in 26. 27 will be Scott McCune, alongside will be David Nash in the Magan Turbo Motorsports entry. Tim Nicol will be in 29th place, alongside him will be Paul Burns. And then we'll head down to 31st. Christian Smart will be starting there with Scotty Van Loon alongside in P32. Darren Crosby will be in 33rd place alongside with Greg Sharp. Chris Blanchard will be coming out of P35 with Jamie McKnight alongside in 36th. 37th will be Brenton O'Brien with Rick Sibra alongside in P38. Darren Goosey out of P39 with alongside him Robbie Griffiths, P40. Robert Crisdale will be starting out of P41, and rounding out the grid will be Chris Barrage.
Well, that's it. It's going to be in the realm of 43 starters by the look of things here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. About 25 seconds or so from the green flag dropping, and I can tell you, have a look at that. Starting on the kink, one of the rarer sights you tend to see right the world over is drivers having to do a standing start from around the kink. Well, they're going to have to do that here tonight. It's going to be 40 laps, the race distance here from the Silverstone historic Grand Prix circuit. When can they get their pit stops in? When will they do their pit stops in? The questions that will be asked up and down the field. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting set for a start in your V8 veterans. Once again, the drivers are going to light up their engines. We'll keep our eyes on the starter, and it will be going here just a moment. There it is. It's going to be from the front row of the grid. Who's going to get away nice and quickly? It's going to be John Latham, who tries to get a good jump, but there are already multiple wide in behind him. And have a look at the Hornets nest. Huge contact. Is that Crosby out on the right-hand side of the track? Already missing the front end of that car, and that is what starting on a kink in a V8 supercar tends to lead to. Stephen Kennedy already in the barriers.
Yeah, I did notice it well. Chad Lewis did not get off the line at all. That was a check-up. There's more action happening on track at the moment, but he was able to get away, Chad Lewis, but that's not obviously how you want to start that one. It's the other side of the track. Damien Cairns has had it off the right side of the car. They're still getting into each other and down the straight. Bit of a rough start to this one as they make their way down the hangar straight. Heading up to Stowe, and look, as you can see on track at the moment, they are spread out everywhere. A bit of smoke from got one car off track at the moment. Settle in, boys, it's a very long way to go. We don't want to start biffing and barging now.
Conversely, let's have that little bit of biff. Bring back the biff from time to time. There was a lot of action. I thought it was Matt Vanderkron. I saw that was nearly 90 degrees to the racetrack at one stage on that opening lap. He's managed to rescue it. Still sits quite good. Tell you what, Darren Love's had a phenomenal opening lap. He's already up to P5, and now he's going to try and make an assault on the rear bumper of Matt Vanderkron as well. We're looking deeper in the pack at that point in time, but John Latham is going to lead his first lap in a very, very long time. And for those of you who haven't been to the older layouts of Silverstone, that right there is the final turn out onto the main straight. And down by the flag stand, cops that first corner. One of the benefits was all the runoff, and I think there was a few drivers up and down the field that took use of that on the opening lap there, Mez.
Yep. Use the advantages when you can get them. You see Darren Lobb on screen at the moment. He's all over the back of Matt Vanderkron. And you touched on this earlier as well. The draft is going to play a bit of a factor here as well. You can see that gap actually just in front of him. Kenneth Ladd and Michael Stewart right in front. They are starting to gap away fairly quickly. See, Darren did a very good job. Got it on the apex. Now he's going to try and drive it. There's a fairly long straight here. You can see if this Ford's got enough muscle and attention to try and get up alongside. He'd be looking at those cars in front, saying to himself, geez, I just want to get in front. I want to try and get after them because that lead pack is starting to run away.
So if we have a look at the positions gained on that opening lap, it's a long list of drivers that gained 1, 2. What I really want to have a look at is the drivers that are down at that tail end that have lost places. Damien Cairns minus 21. Bruce Tannock's up plus 10 on that opening lap. Guarantee you he had a wild ride on the run down to turn number 1. But now it's just going to be about settling on in, looking after the tyres. Stephen Kennedy's already come into the pit lane. And there'll be another driver as well that's circulating right around at the back of the pack. I think it might be Robert Crisdale. Indeed it is. So Crisdale and Stephen Kennedy impacted in that lap 1 incident.
Just noticing there as well, Darren Lobb was having another look on the rear bumper of Matt Vanderkrans, who definitely got a bit of pace at the moment. You can see Crisdale on the screen at the moment. Look like a feed out just behind. Yep, looks like a come out behind Steve Kennedy. So believe that was lap 2. So that should be their first pit stop out of the way. So it's not totally not doom and gloom just yet. Obviously got to stop out of the way. You'd be praying for a safety car at this point, though. It's really the only way you're sort of going to get yourself back into this one from that far back. But they can happen, and if they're not very religious, they'll be praying now.
Well, there's going to be a few drivers who will be praying for a little bit of the old something to come their way, and there's going to be a couple of drivers up and down the field that take part in the first of the compulsory pit stop laps. Opening up has provided opportunities for Greg Sharp to get into the pit lane. Damien Cairns is going to be in there as well. Interested to see how much fuel these guys take on board, because this looks like this might actually be trying to open up the strategy, run along in this first phase of the race and come down for tyres late on and look to get on the front foot from there. In the meantime, Latham will lead fractionally. I can tell you what, if you keep half an eye on these cars tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to see them wiggling all over the spot. Older track layout, a little bit less rubber, a little bit less grip, and the thing about V8 supercars, they're already wiggly enough. Take away grip, we're only more so.
Yep, know about that all too well. Looking back down the pack at the moment, Paul Warwick going for a big dive down the inside at the loops, going to get the job done. Just having a bit of a flick through, looked like he's battling with, sorry, I lost who I was battling with, Stewie Hall. Oh, there's a little bit of hip and shoulder with Jason Fewens on the outside. They're going to run through side by side, and it looks like Dan Hall is going to get make an advantage out of that one too. Right up on the rear bumper, trying to get himself in a good position to go for a run down to turn 1. Jason Fewens is going to have a look. He's almost got the inside lock, trying to get it done. The Dan Hall just a little bit too wide, catching the grass. That's the one thing you're probably not used to, is this old track actually has a little bit of grass on the outside. If you go to the updated version, there's no grass there. You can just run all the way on the outside and don't have to worry about it. So it's something that, yeah, if they're not used to it, they've got to keep an eye on. So Fewens will hold on to that spot. But yeah, this little battle pack has been brewing up from what I can see for a little bit.
And the difference is, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of a difference tonight. Normally, it's the older drivers on the newer layouts of tracks. Tonight, we're throwing back a little bit deeper. I was hoping they might even try and do some retro liveries. That tends to be more of a Bathurst than a Sandown thing. It makes sense a little bit here sometimes, but in the meantime, Damien Cross, I just heard, put something through on the current lap. He did start the lap out at 21st position and is now running down in 37th. So something's going on there that we'll try and grab you a replay of. But for the meantime, it's try and find yourself a little bit of that open track. Do you remember seeing shots? Now, this track was changed and this layout was not used since a very, very long time ago. In fact, I don't think I would have ever been around early enough to see racing from this current layout. I have seen a lot of videos of years gone by. It was a beautiful layout to go racing in.
Yeah, absolutely. I reckon I've probably seen those same videos and believe it's like going back to, you know, the older style F1 cars, and like it's crazy to think that they were going full bell through all those corners. You can see a little bit of tap there. Damien Cross is going to keep it off the wall, but I'll have to have a look at that one again. We're on the rear bumper at the moment. Now they're heading up to Maggots, and you know, he's going to be a little bit narrow, so he's going to be a little bit compromised, and yeah, I think that's a slam dunk. I don't think we really need to looks like it was Scott McCune that was behind when that contact happened, so yeah, unfortunately I think that's going to be a little bit of a slam dunk in when Race Control has a look at that one.
Yeah, I think that's what they're already discussing. I think there has been since then actually a drive-through penalty that's come through and been assigned to Miller since then, so he will be serving a drive-through penalty, and that was for something that did occur on that opening lap. So I'm not 100% sure if we'll have access to having a look at that one. So for the meantime, drivers that have managed to hang on to their position. How good was this qualifying effort though from Peter van der Kroon? And continues to run inside the top 20 as well, so he's looking good for tonight's race.
Yeah, just noticed that one as well. Sitting in P17, we're going to have a quick look on replay at the moment. We get Chris Miller, Chad Lewis behind, and rightio, there was a little bit of contact there. Now we're just going to wait and see. Chad obviously realising he did something wrong, and no.
Good there, so that was from lap 1.
Yeah.
So much further on down the line then, once racing has continued.
Yeah, not sure. Yeah, not sure. Something else happened, but yeah, look back across, we've got Todd Duggan on screen at the moment, and that explains why Todd Duggan went out wide. There was a bit of a carbon copy of what we saw before. David Nash seemed to be the other driver involved in that one as well. Let's see if there's redress, but we haven't seen one as yet.
That explains where, 100% explains where Todd Duggan has gone. Drivers have settled in for the meantime. They're halfway through that first tank of fuel as well. So who are the drivers that have come through the pit lane at this point in time? Miller has been through the lane. Kirby has been through the lane, which is an interesting one. So Miller going through the lane is to serve his drive-through penalty, and indeed the stop lane reflects that. But Dave Kirby's been through the lane.
Yeah, he did have that suboptimal quality, so maybe taking the strategy, get himself out of traffic, get himself a little bit of clear air. With a little bit of clear air, you can look after the tyres a bit better as well, so maybe applying the reverse strategy for this race to try and make up the qualifying.
How close is this top 5, by the way? Just keeping an eye on that in the background. Darren Lobb is still trying to hunt down and get by Matt van der Kroon, which you'll see coming through in the back of this shot. That's how close those drivers are. But for the meantime, your top 3, there's only 1.2 seconds across the top 3. And they're staying quite closely together. Grumley's hanging on to places as well. And Steve Grumley's got the unenviable task right now of holding off an on-form Michael Taliancic, which that will not be simple.
Noticing too, got a couple more drivers entering pit lane as well. David Nash has gone. Peter van der Kroon also making his way to the lane. Chad Lewis, Robert Christel's got their pit stop over and done with. Darren Pusey as well. So the pit lane starting to open up a little bit, but just sort of going back to obviously this lead pack that we were talking about. Yeah, Steve Grumley doing an amazing job at the moment holding in there. But yeah, this pack really just has not really separated at all. Like I would have imagined that the top 3 would have checked out and disappeared down the road, but no, the gap's stabilised. Matt van der Kroon's definitely held his own place there. Darren Lobb really just not having enough pace at the moment to get across. But then you got this big group here. You can see you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars sitting in a train, and yeah, the pace is comparable with the leaders at the moment. So everyone just seems to be sitting in a little bit of a groove. Everyone's around that same time mark. So wonder if people are starting to think strategy-wise, maybe save a little bit of fuel behind someone, see what they're planning at the moment. But yeah, interesting that we haven't seen the usual spread at the front that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, we might just stay with this shot actually on board for the next little while. So this is the task that Michael Taliancic is presented with, is Stephen Grumley, who's in the recent history of the series. So an opportunity for Stephen Grumley deep inside the qualifying was a very, very strong performance here thus far tonight, and that's the rear view shot looking at Blake Delaney. But the key factor for me here is if we go back to the onboard shot, have a look at the difference in lines. You just saw, looking backwards, the difference approach from Delaney through Maggots into Chapel into Beckett's. The big thing about an older track, particularly a track that's known as Legacy, you don't get a lot of racing here anymore. So a lot of these drivers, they're searching for pace. Every one of them has come into Nightmares, gone a different way about it, done their own practice laps, done their own research, made themselves quite comfortable. But the biggest thing about older style tracks is have a look at the differences in racing lines and how they drive it. Some of these drivers are really attacking the corner entries. Some of them are trying to square it off, point it, and get the car off the corner. Some of them are using a little bit more track on the left. Some of them are using a little bit more track on the right. Have a look as we flow through here. This comes down through Abbey into Bridge, under the old bridge. And then watch this from Steve Grumley. Gets all the way out to the left-hand side of the road. Doesn't come as far back to the right as Michael Talianchis does. Means he's slow here on the exit of the Brooklands Priory and down into the next kink and then Luffield to bring us back onto this straight. Very, very interesting to note the different driving styles there.
Yep. Is this one of those tracks where you can use a few different driving styles? Talianchis bolts for the lane, makes a very late dive, so it'll catch a few people off. But yeah, as you said, you know, using a few different styles. Actually, when we're watching that little bit of battle, Bromley seemed to have that little bit more pace in sort of the first few sectors, and then the tighter stuff sort of towards the end of the track, where you'd see Talianchis would actually sharpen that corner off a bit more, drive it a bit straighter off the corner. That's when you'd see that gap start to close up a little bit. So different driving styles were sort of affecting it in different ways as we went over that lap. So now we'll see what pit stop's going to do to Talianchis, if he's going to take a big drop of fuel or is it going to be just a short splash and dash. David Nash also into pit lane. So looking at, we are on, if I have a quick look and I see where my laps are, lap 8 we're on at the moment, which we're sort of still outside of that window that we were looking at when we did our pre-race strategy. So lap 11 was the lap to get home, 27 seconds. It's about on par with what we've seen other drivers do at the moment. They've been between 25 and 28 seconds, so about on par. David Kirby on screen there, you can see popped out. So this has worked out very, very well for David Kirby. We were curious about him pitting so early. Well, there's the evidence on screen at the moment. He's popped out just behind Talianchis.
How's that? 1 and 2 in the championship, even though they're 27th and 28th on the road at the moment. They've both popped out equivocally, pretty much even in terms of where things are. But for Dave Kirby, there's a huge, huge time gain. He will have 3 seconds extra worth of fuel potentially to add later on. And update coming your way courtesy of my favourite driver in the split. Scott McCune has received a drive-through penalty, which I'm pretty sure we all sat down and looked at that one and went, yeah, that's coming.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. We can see Scott actually diving into the lane now to get that one sorted. But yeah, interesting to see. Other interesting note as well, when we're talking about David Kirby, actually the fastest lap of the race too. So that getting out in clear air, we're seeing it really in action now. Obviously, we've seen the gap close up a lot more. Talianchis will have newer tyres, so the gap will probably stretch a little bit more. But you know, taking that early pit stop, got some clean air, bangs in the fastest lap of the race. We'll see what Talianchis can do. Now he's going to have a bit of clean air, a little bit sideways off the corner, so those rear tyres are hurting a lot at the moment. But now he's still going to be in clear air, so we'll wait and see. When everyone else starts to pit, can also having a look at when they take that final stop. So it may be advantageous when we see everyone else start to pit and he starts to fall into a bit of traffic. Does he take that final stop and then go to the end? Going to be obviously a plan in the back of his head that he's probably going over at the moment.
And this is really, really important. So leaders are coming into the final sector at the moment. It's really tight down there, and that is the overtaking attempt from Darren Log, not quite far enough up and alongside. So Vanderkrunt will hang on to this one. Would not be surprised to see Log pit this time by either. Look for a little bit of an undercut strategy. Definitely looks like he has a little bit more pace. He's following a lot closer than a lot of the other cars have been able to do thus far. No, he's going to go long. Having a look deeper in the pack is, if you have a think about it, Damien Cairns, Stephen Banks, Peter Vanderkrunt, those three all came out nose to tail after that pit cycle, and the next few drivers that are in behind them is Chad Lewis, Scotty Van Loon, Greg Sharp, Chris Blanchard, Dean Lavelle, Bruce Tannock. Bruce Tannock is right on the rear bumper of Dean Lavelle. And again, by the way, Bruce Tannock took a very long stop at his first pit stop. Has not worked out for him. He's found traffic again, he is.
Yeah, but again, he'll have the new tyre advantage, and depending on who you're around, but it looks like a lot of those drivers he's around, he pitted with. Chris Blanchard, who's sort of just up ahead. Greg Sharp took pit stops a lot earlier, so they might be able to dispatch them pretty quick. But taking advantage of taking that. Yeah, it's the extra fuel he took on, so he doesn't have to factor that in the next stop he takes. That might work out as advantage. Getting stuck in traffic is definitely not where you want to be. Ideally, you still want to be in clear air when you're doing that sort of a strategy, but it's not game over yet. But yeah, if you can dispatch those other cars that are on older tyres quickly, that could play a hand later on in the race.
Well, pit stop strategies are starting to come to the fore. Dan Hall has now been for a trip through the lane. Bruce Tannock just picked himself up a spot, by the way, for keeping half an eye on that climbing tower. Did pick up one spot on Dean Flavelle, but that is Jeff Thomas and Travis Hunt, albeit the opposite way of which they qualified. But both of them have managed to jump Michael Taliancic in terms of the pit lane. So that has worked out very, very well for both of those drivers. I'm wondering, hang on, how much fuel did they throw in the car?
7 seconds less in the pit stop, so they've taken significantly less fuel. So that'd be where they've got that advantage from. So again, we talk about strategy. They're going to have to pay that back later on in the race. This could work out well for Taliancic if they've got some decent pace, which on new tyres they should. If you can go with them, they can drag him up to the cars in front. Could save a little bit of fuel, try and look after his tyres a little bit, so it could still pay off on the effort here.
How good is this Dan Hall as well, after taking his pit stop, although that looks like a drive-through penalty, to be perfectly honest with you. That's how long it was. He might be actually trying to clear his entire race worth of pit stops nice and early. Mez? Yeah, I'm not seeing a penalty for Dan Hall, but his pit stop was incredibly short. It was get in, grab a splash, get out the other side, and we'll see what happens. So, for Dan Hall, he's going to be the first driver, I would say, to take his second of his compulsory pit stops here tonight. And he's gone with the short stops work thus far. Let's try a really short stop.
Yeah, 18 seconds, so yeah, shorter by a significant margin. You've got Jeff Thomas and Travis Hunt, that was about 20 seconds, so you're only 2 seconds shorter. So yeah, interesting play. He's got his off track position out of it, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of fuel he'll have to take on later on. But yeah, using a bit of clean air and fresher tyres to your advantage again could potentially work out. Oh, just flicked over this bit of a contact between Dean Favell and Bruce Tannock coming out of turn 1. They've gotten going again, but it did look like a big hit that happened on the exit of turn 1. We'll try and get a replay if we can. Both drivers seem to have been able to get going.
It's going to be Tannock that's dropped spots, but I'm not seeing any damage around that car. So he may have gotten away okay, albeit a lot of track position. Have a look at the battle in the background. Oh, sorry, Dean Flavelle's back there as well. So Flavelle's lost a ton of spots. So whether or not Flavelle's the car that's actually taking a big old whack here, we're going to have to try and grab a replay. And have a look at David Nash, the teammate of Bruce Tannock as well, that's caught all the way up in this one. Duggan's going to try and defend off from these guys. How good is this? We go to Silverstone, and they're going to squabble over it as they head down through the old club section. They call it the Vale Chicane these days. It's gradual swing to the left and then double back over to the right. And for Nash, he's going to get to the inside of Flavelle. They're going to go side by side as they come down through Abbey, and now we'll run underneath the bridge as well. Flavelle gets the job done, but has a huge wiggle on the mid-corner, and that's caused Nash to check up. Nash is going to get swamped by Goosey. The number of drivers that are throwing into this and having a real stoush about it. Now Flavelle's deep as well.
Way too deep. Way too deep. Oh!
It's all over. It's all popped out the other side, and it's going to be Darren Goosey that's facing the wrong direction, unfortunately, for the Chubby Buns entry.
See if he readdresses that one. Probably should. Dean probably just got a little bit flustered. You saw the corner before, just went in a little bit too deep and pitched the rears, and the car just slid in, but he managed to recover it. But yeah, maybe just a little bit too flustered. We'll have a look on screen at the moment. We can see Tannock up the inside. Here is a bit of a push and shove it. Oh, the rear of the car's just gotten loose. And Flavelle just was in as a bystander in that one. Go and have another look, but yeah, you can see there's a bit of rubbing through the corner, and it might be a little bit of tire-on-tire contact, and that's all it needed to just put Tannock sideways. So yeah, that was just a very, very unfortunate situation, and just wrong place at the wrong time for Vel.
I'll tell you what, brings back, that's how a V8 supercar goes side by side through cops, albeit the older rendition of Cops has had a slightly reshape, and then this is what it looked like from Robbie Griffith's perspective. And you can see Clavel can't disappear. He's not far enough alongside to warrant space, but at the same time, you just say to Deacon, well, maybe he needed to roll out just a fraction, just regather himself in the middle of that one. It'll be interesting to see which way race control deal, because overlap was maintained up until the point of contact. So a little bit of different there. And Blake Delaney is going to go the mega fuel save strategy. We are 13 laps into this race, and Blake says, who needs to take fuel?
No, absolutely. That's interesting. So has he not? I could see he's been down pit lane, but yeah, I'm very confused. Has he just not? Has he come to the box at all? No, stop. I haven't stopped. They haven't stopped yet. Oh, okay. No, sorry. I was just looking at the timing screen. I'm just thinking, hang on. Have they just got to the box, literally gone up on the jacks, dropped instantly and gone? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was just a little bit confused there, but don't mind me. I'm just getting myself wound up. But on screen, Michael Stewart in looks to be the third place and leader of the cars that have pitted for the moment.
Yeah, and how good is this? We talked to him tail end of last season. He said he changed up the way that he was driving the car, and that had stemmed itself from the way that he practiced. He was doing less practice, but making it more impactful and thinking about the way that he was driving. He's leaving time between his practice sessions. Well, either that or there's something in the water for Michael Stewart, because he has found extra pace, and he, for the first time in a very, very long time, in fact, it may be ever, for Michael Stewart, is going to lead a V8 Veterans race. He will look back at this and he will remember this moment. He remembered his first podium about 121 races into his V8 Veterans career, a couple more, and he's leading one on pace.
Absolutely, but we quickly talk about pace. Just punched through the fastest lap of the race, John Latham with a 39.9. So Latham's got some big pace under that car at the moment, pitted about a lap later than Stewart. So yeah, the pole sitter at the moment showing he's definitely got it, but interesting to see. Stewart's definitely still playing himself into this one, and Talienich on screen at the moment getting hustled by Delaney. Delaney will flick to the inside as they head up to Stowe Corner. Doesn't look like Talienich is really going to fight him too hard, and will make that spot easy enough. So Delaney gets one on championship leader and sets his height down the road for Darren Law.
And for these guys, quite critically, just have a look at one of the next cars on track is, yes, Darren Law, but you look one spot further ahead and have a look at the JWM entries. Travis Hunt and Jeff Thomas are inside the top 10, deep inside the top 10. And last time out for Travis Hunt, he was in a great spot, and then hardware failure crept in. Couldn't keep the car fired. Something was preventing that car from staying fired last week when he was on a great shot for a great result at Monza. And that went by the wayside, and it ended up being Damien Cairns and David Kirby who picked up the pieces when the big boys come to blows. But for these guys, great opportunity, and they've played around with this strategy. The three drivers, if you look up and down this field over the last couple of seasons, man, the three drivers that have played around with the strategy, Jeff Thomas, Travis Hunt, Damien Cairns. Look at the success they're all seeing this season.
Yeah, that's it. Playing the strategy is just as important as being quick on track, because you know you can be quick, but if you play the wrong cards all the time, then yeah, it obviously won't work out for you. But it's also very good that they're actually working together as well. They're not racing each other. They pit around the same time. Their pit stops were exactly the same, so they knew what strategy they were going for. They had a plan from the start. Obviously, Travis not too happy how he got the car off that corner, but yeah, it's good that they're actually being able to work together. This is important. This is really good about having teammates in league like this, especially a teammate that you're about as quick as, because you can work together on this stuff. You can try different strategies and work together in the race and try and better your position. So yeah, it's working out well for them at the moment, and they are starting to sort of slowly move themselves up to that grip in front. And just also mentioning as well that Talienich, yeah, the pace for Talienich after the pit stop's not really switched back on, and he seems to be falling a little bit further down the pack.
Well, the problem for him was that he was in these guys' dirty air for a very, very long period there, had more fuel on, so I'd say his tyres are worn. Just the pure circumstances of where he's popped out has left him on a little bit of a cliff. He was on the back foot after qualifying, but again, given where everyone is in the relative running order, he was actually sitting in for another good result in terms of points. Ken Ladder going by a fair few, but Darren Lobb was right there and within touch. So for him to go backwards, he'll be sitting there scratching his head a little bit. And the problem he's got in this second round of pit stops as well is that Tally's taken a smaller dose of the old first stop. That was a huge moment for Jeff Thomas coming through cops on that lap. So Tally's going to slide further down this order. Well, maybe not further down the order, but slide further back in the cars ahead. The other side of the coin is Tally could be fuel saving. So he could be playing 2 games. We'll keep half an eye on that story as it progresses. But I tell you what, Mez, it has been a very... Oh, hello. That's David Nash.
And that is not a very happy engine at all.
Is this just a downshift?
I reckon, yep, right there. Just downshift a little bit too much and boom goes the cylinders.
Yep. Unfortunately for that engine, she's now leaking ye olde oil out the side. Ye olde oil. Not a sponsor, but we'll play it up like it might be. But for the Logitech G series, Logitech G Replay getting their money's worth here tonight.
Would it be ye olde oil or Vindaloo oil? Seeing so you talk about the vets Vindaloo, maybe they're all oiled by Vindaloo. I don't know, just throwing it out there.
V8 Veterans Valve Vindaloo oil. Oh, have a look at this scrap though. Travis Hunt on the older rubber is going to have a little bit of contact with Darren Lobb, and Lobb's going to wiggle the car all the way off the left field. Now it'll be through the kink named Woodkit on the front stretch and back to the line, and Red Mist is a little bit up. Do you go to the inside at Cops? Well, for Darren Lobb, he gets the nose there, and that's managed to allow him to open the door fractionally. Here comes Delaney in the background as well. They're still alongside. Now it's going to be the run down to Maggots. Into Chapel, the right-hander. And then it'll be back to the left, and Hunt's a mile off the track. He rescues something out of what surely looked like disaster.
Oh, that was lucky. I was thinking for a second that he actually sort of rolled out of it. I was going to give them props for working together on that one. But yeah, it looked like Lobb just the car just sort of did not grip. The front did not turn, and it just drifted out a bit wide. And yeah, but they've done a good job to get out of that one, especially Travis. Like, that could have very easily gone sideways very, very badly, but no, he's done a good job to keep that on track. Delaney also got an advantage out of that one too, moves up another spot, but yeah, Lobb with a bit of pace at the moment, especially in this within this group at the moment, so they'll be trying to chase down Jeff Thomas just up in front. But interesting if race control is going to get involved in that decision, in that incident, and what they think about what happened there.
Yeah, good spot. Producer Dan Yeaman. Is that Michael Stewart's starting to come under a little bit of an assault. John Latham's found something and starting to come back at him. And for these guys, Stewart will have the longer pit stop the second time by to the tune. Well, it was 4 seconds shorter on that first stop, so that will be relevant for the last time by, though. Only a 10th faster from John Latham for now, but it's that peak lap pace for Latham that's been absolutely critical thus far tonight. Fastest lap of the race for John Latham since coming out from his first stop. Now they'll settle themselves in a little bit up and down. Now it's holding stations. So for the guys who have short pit, think you're Dan Hall, he will be one of the first drivers to come back to the lane with how short his stop was. What do you think, Dan? Sorry, what do you think, Mez, behind the scenes? How deep into this race do you think he can go if you're in Dan Hall's shoes?
Well, it's a good thing you brought that up, because I did ask our producer, Dan, to bring this up. Is actually looking at the positions game. So Dan Hall and Jeff Thomas, too interesting. They're up 12 spots. So when we were sort of talking a lot about the short fueling and stuff like that, what that's going to do. So that's obviously helped them out. But obviously they're going to have to pit earlier. They're going to have to give that time back. David Kirby as well was one I was looking at as well to see how that was working out. He's up 13 spots, so in P12. But interesting enough, he actually hasn't fallen that far behind Talyancic, because we initially saw that when the pit stop happened, Talyancic was quick to get away, just sort of skipped away off into the distance. But as the tyres have worn and the pace has sort of settled down, Kirby's managed to keep himself going quite well. So up 13 spots, it's still sitting roughly really, really good with pace. just obviously Christian Smart up in P15 at the moment, plus 16. So that's a solid, plus 16 spots. So that's a solid effort. And he pitted about the same time that we saw that Jeff Thomas and all that pitted, and roughly the same lap time as well. So that short fuel strategy has worked out for a few people. They've managed to gain a fair few positions. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it plays out once, obviously, they've got to give back that time later on. So how this stint has worked for them, if they've managed to capitalise and gain a bit of time and close some gaps in the cars in front, we'll see if it's benefited them later on.
Well, I got some more math to throw your way there. I can say this one quite easily, is that David Nash, -1 engine. So fast repair taken for him. Back out into the race at least, so he will continue circulating for the night, but -1 fast repair. He will actually be, by the way, our first driver to have taken his second pit stop. So that is potentially relevant. The problem for him is that he is off the lead lap, and in terms of things, he's right behind Ken Latta. So that is not going to help things, but that will give us a marker to sort of examine the back half of this race. That second stop for David Nash was incredibly short. So a lot of that build taken at the first stop has now translated, which means I think for most of these drivers, their second pit stop is going to be very, very short.
Yeah, we're just getting some field numbers through at the moment, but yeah, interesting. They're sort of a bit all over the shop in what people have sort of taken on board. You know, Dan Hall, we're talking about 43 litres. Michael Stewart's 47 litres roughly taken as well. So that's a lot of fuel they've got to hand back. Considering when you look at Kent Latta, 61 litres. So, you know, there's going to be about 20 litres or so that they're going to have to hand back. And Latham very sideways, who flicked back on screen. And yeah, the gap's obviously closed up quite a fair bit. Latham's got a fair bit of pace up his sleeve at the moment. And Stewart just get in the car, settle, get in the car, pointed to the corner, doing a really good job. The car's not sliding around. He's not, obviously, he knows Latham's there, but he's not feeling the pressure. He's not making any little mistakes. He's just keeping that car nice and balanced. He'll just obviously wait for Latham to go for it, which he's going to do now, and will not fight him. Yeah, won't fight him there. We'll just give him the space he needs and let Latham go onto the distance. So obviously thinking to himself, I can't really fight Latham at the moment, but I'll let him go and just sit him behind and try and go with him.
Yeah, I think that's quite critical. So as soon as Latham caught him and as soon as Latham got to that inside, absolutely, I agree with you. The response that then switches, okay, it hasn't worked, but I've got to make sure I hang on to this second spot. And that's going to be the critical one. By the way, race control have just got back in touch and said to Darren Lobb, you've got to redress that position with car 32. So he's got to back off and drop in behind Travis Hunt. Now for Travis Hunt, he's only 2 seconds behind at the moment, but this is going to be quite critical. They've got to do this either quickly because Robert Crisdale's in the middle of this. So for Darren Lobb, he's going to drop 2 spots, or else he will face the wrath of the stewards and further penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to see Crisdale bolt off into the lane, so that's one less to worry about. You can see, Jeff Thomas just got the blocking on at the moment, but that's on Darren Lobb as well. So really, we should be looking at Darren peeling off and trying to give the spot back. But
has he hurt?
Not sure, unless he's protesting it at the moment, but definitely does not look like he's looking at readdressing that position at all. He's got Blake Delaney all over the back of him at the moment. Blake's pace has really switched on at the back end of this stint at the moment, just closing up on this pack considerably, and he's got a really good draft at the moment. He's closing up on the back of Lobb. I don't think he's going to make a move, but yeah, it doesn't look like is going to be readdressing this position anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think he's hurt, and I don't think he's hurt because he's in this in this battle. He's got his head down, right? And it's not a black flag.
Yeah. So if he hasn't got the message, either if they've sent it but he just hasn't read it or he just hasn't heard over comms, no doubt they'll be getting into it.
He just acknowledged it. They just sent it back. Car 32, car 990 to redress behind car 32, and he acknowledged it. So he's going to roll out here.
No, he's not. He's keeping in it.
He's accepting the penalty, is what I'm taking out of that.
Unless he's trying to maybe back Delaney up a little bit. Yeah. Oh, Delaney getting a nose up the inside there. But just not quite enough there. Yeah, interesting. I don't know what's going on here, because he's definitely not getting on with it. He's definitely not rolling out of it at the moment. Geez, you would have thought it kind of does look like that's very early on the brakes there. You can see Delaney's just struggling at the moment. He's getting up on the rear bumper, but he can't get a run off the corner. And, yeah.
This is carried on now, Mez. I think Race Control have called it. They've allowed a lap, and he still hasn't served it. So I think this is now reaching the stage where it's just going to become a bigger penalty.
It is allowing Travis to close up on the rear, so I'm not quite sure. I don't know if it's just in trying to slow him up. There it goes, out of the way.
Cheeky. Very, very cheeky. What is Race Control? Well, he's not redressed it entirely yet. Now there's additional contact!
Oh, no, and that's spun Lob around. Oh, man. That whole situation just seems to have been made a lot harder than what it needed to be, and now it's resulted in Darren Lobb getting turned the other way around. That's going to be an interesting conversation after the race.
Well, they will be looking at it straight away, because obviously Race Control were watching that to ensure that the redress was served. So Lobb's raised it, but at the same time, if you're redressing to a driver, you've got to completely get back in behind them and not assault them, is my understanding of it. And he hasn't redressed completely.
No, you just got to roll out of it. Like I've I'm not saying I've been involved in this for a very long time, but the few years I've been seeing this, it's just, you're trying to obviously redress position, but you don't want to lose out overall. You want to make sure you're not losing the least amount of time as possible. But yeah, that just looked like in that situation, it was just an easy situation, roll out of it, ducking behind, and get it over and done with. It just seemed like that whole situation was dragged out longer than it needed to be, and even in the situation where the redress was happening, just did not get right out of it. Just sort of tried to keep going to not lose any time. That can backfire, as we've just seen. Sometimes it's just easier. Just bite the bullet, take the penalty, and reassess from there.
Have you ever heard the phrase, race car drivers need to be lawyers? Well, I think that was the proof of it. He was attempting to take every stretch in the imagination that was possible to him underneath the rules that were potentially laid out there in front of him. But for Dan Hall, he said that he had to be the first car to pit lane to serve that second stop. The problem for Dan right here is that he's got cars directly in front of him. Now, this is the race lead for John Latham, and for Michael Stewart, sorry, my apologies, has done a phenomenal job of staying with him in terms of their race strategy. So this is phenomenal for Stewart. This will just about lock him into P2 overall tonight, even though he's got that more fuel to add to the tank. He is far enough ahead that he'll cover it off.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's actually been a really solid drive. Only about a tenth off the pace of Latham in front. So Michael Stewart's pace has been really, really good in this middle stint. Seems to have lost a little bit that last lap, though. Yeah, it was about 4/10 that last lap. But either way, doing a really, really good job. Will obviously drop a bit back. You can see pit lane starting to far up at the moment. It looks like Jeff Thomas into the lane. I believe that's Travis Hunt as well. So everyone, that group that pitted earlier, they're straight into the lane. Dave Kirby, I believe, also into the lane as well to get that final pit stop done and out of the way. So this will be interesting to see how this all plays out now. This will be where drivers will be giving back that time that they would have given themselves a bit earlier. So the pit stops will be a little bit all over the place, but interesting to see how they all shuffle out.
Wow, look at the number of cars that are coming down the pit lane, and they're all looking for an undercut on someone around them. There's Kirby in the 307 entry. There's McCune at the tail end of the field. And 16 laps left in this race. It's a fraction shy of the undercut, but have a look at Kirby. Kirby's managed to jump Travis Hunt in all of that, just due to the shenanigans that have gone on in the last couple of laps. You don't have to take that extra pit lane to the right.
That's going to be an unsafe pit exit. I am positive that if you take that lane, it's an unsafe pit exit.
Good news.
We'll have to wait.
You're wrong, Miz. There's no penalty.
Okay, I'm kind of glad I'm wrong. Because, I swore that's what would happen. I'm pretty sure it's happened to me before, just in practice, when you just take that lane just because, you want to do something a bit different. I was stung with a penalty, unless that's changed recently. But yeah, that's the first thing I thought of. As soon as I saw it coming out of that second lane, I was just like, oh no. But yeah, thankfully it hasn't worked out like that.
Well, it's the same thing as at Phillip Island, because you've got that the motorcycle pit lane exit.
Yeah, but there are a few tracks like that where the second pit lane the second pit exit is accessible, but for whatever reason, iRacing has decided that sometimes you do get a penalty if you do use it. So
Travis Hunt, ladies and gentlemen, is getting held up on this first lap out of the lane. No, never mind. Dave Kirby's a little bit up the road, so something's happened to Travis Hunt on this lap. And unfortunately, he's been boxed in, and now Goose is going to go to the lane from just in front of him. But it was Travis Hunt just in behind him, and he has lost a ton of time because he was right on the gearbox of Dave Kirby, and now Dave Kirby is clearing out down the track. Oh, sorry, my apologies. He's just ahead of me. Forget I said anything. I thought it was the next car. It was Dan Hall we were looking at.
Okay, fair enough. Yep. That's interesting. And yeah, Dave Kirby sitting in the background. There's Travis Hunt, not far behind at all. No need to be concerned. Don't stress. Parlez-vous français. It's all fine.
Right, so at the top of the show, we mentioned a joke. So pre-race, for those of you who don't know, Mez and I have a little bit of banter, and our producer Dan Yeaman in the background has to sit through and deal with both of us. For some reason, we both started talking in South African accents. It's probably because the Aussies are playing South Africans in the cricket at the moment in terms of the World Cup. And suddenly we just started talking in a range of accents, and very quickly Mez transitioned to his favourite song. Whoa, hello!
Segway.
That's not a segue. That's not a segue. Yes, we've peeled back the veil, and underneath is a very thinly veiled attempt to maintain our sanity. And Scotty Van Loon has just destroyed any concept of us maintaining our sanity as he comes through underneath the old bridge.
Just all on his own, but looks bad. Scotty Van Loon was on 17 lap old tyres when that happened. So yeah, looks as though that's just a case of old tyres that just do not want to hang on. Yeah, the rear's just gone. That is such an odd penalty. It doesn't... such an odd incident. It doesn't look like it's damaged the car too much.
Steve Grumley has just dropped from the server due to packet loss.
Oh, no.
And on for a top 10, having a phenomenal night at the office, Steve Grumley. Unfortunately, it's all come undone in SimRacing's version of the engine suddenly cutting out. Ken Ladder has come out with an undercut. Where's this come from, Ken Ladder?
That does make sense. Ken took a lot of fuel in the first stop. Race leaders into the pits as well. John Latham has pitted. We'll wait and see what that does, but Ken Ladder, yeah, he's done a fantastic job. He's popped out right in front of that gap. Michael Stewart as well. Actually, Greg Sharp has just... Greg Sharp still needs to pit it. But yeah, effectively, of the pitters, Ken Ladder is now leading them. So that has just changed things very, very quickly. Just flowing under the radar was Ken Ladder in that one. We'll wait and see. Blake Delaney out front at the moment, but waiting and seeing what's happening with Latham. He's on the way out now. Where's John Latham on? No, Ken Ladder on track. Should be coming from turn 1.
Comfortable. So something's absolutely happened on pit lane entry for Marcus Stewart, because that's a lot of time that he's given up.
Now.
And he's dropped further. He's dropped in behind. Oh, Greg Sharp, you're right. Sorry, my apologies. It's the second time thus far tonight I looked at Greg Sharp and went, he's pit. No, Greg Sharp has yet to pit. Thanks, man. You updated me on that before I needed it. Thank you for that.
Sometimes I'm useful.
So we're not finding anything on the timing charts that shows what's happened to Michael Stewart, but we get the feeling after watching a number of drivers on that previous lap, Travis Hunt was among those, held up in traffic. Is that John Latham that's just dropped out of the server as well? No, we're back? No, we're not.
No, he's fine. He's fine. Don't panic. Michael Stewart trying to find a way around Greg Sharp at the moment. This is going to be annoying Michael Stewart a fair bit now. We're behind. Sorry, I can't quite catch who this again is. Crisdale. Yeah, also out of position as well. Yeah, this is going to be frustrating Michael Stewart at the moment. Oh, very wide of the apex there. If you're wanting to get in front of these guys, especially if they're obviously on older sets of tyres, but it looks like Greg is going to bolt into pit lane, so that's going to release Michael Stewart. So now he's got to get down the road and try and chase up to Ken Ladder, who has pushed a big gap out in front at the moment. So I will be safe to say John Latham's obviously gotten out fairway in front, but Ken Ladder has moved himself into second place. Michael Stewart sitting in third effectively on the road at the moment.
And there's a couple drivers in the meantime that are hanging themselves out for a safety car. Blake Delaney, Michael Taliancic will go very, very long here, as will Fewens and Paul Warwick as well, up in the top 5. So top 5, ladies and gentlemen, they will cycle back through. They will only be a couple laps away from pitting, and indeed with 12 laps to the end of the race. So for Michael Stewart, effective third place at the moment. You will take that. That is a reasonable night at the office, but the issue he's now got is that Matt Vanderkraan is a lot closer than he has been for a long period here tonight, and it's going to be a scrap between these two for who gets a podium yet again.
Just quickly back to Michael Stewart. So 6 second difference in the pit lane, so a 25.9 in the box versus John Latham at 20.5, plus getting held up behind Greg Stewart, so the gap's out to about 10 seconds. So that does line up. Obviously the short fuel that Michael Stewart did, he had to pay that back. But yeah, Ken Ladder and John Latham had significantly shorter pit stops as well. So that kind of works out. It wasn't necessarily that Michael Stewart's in-lap and exit lap was not that good. It's just the way the pit stops have worked out. I got a feeling as though he was held up in a little bit of traffic on his exit lap. But yeah, no, that's just the pit strategy playing its hand there in that situation.
I was about to say, Mez, I think that leaves us with about a second and a half worth of time that's just gone missing. So traffic may be the determining factor there for Michael Stewart. If he got that undercut lap out and got clear of Ken Ladder, he would hang on to that position and it would be a great spot.
Yeah, it have to be in the exit lap. Just probably would have caught up in a bit of traffic.
We've got a stuck car. We've got a stuck car, and I think it's Scotty Van Loon again. And he's not in a great spot.
No, this will be interesting.
Because this will condense the field. Oh, he's got it going.
No, he's got it going. Whoa. There's a lot of drivers that are breathing a sigh of relief at the moment. The top 4 at the moment who still need to take their pit stops, I reckon they would have been just praying, do not move, but he's got it going again. We'll have a quick look on replay and see what's going on. A little bit of a battle with Goosey, and that's the bit of a moment.
So for Scotty Van Loon, you'll see the Rattler on the rear wing is the nickname that he does go by, but Goosey's got pace there.
Yeah, he slowed it up as well. Obviously, we made a mistake there, but seen that a couple of times tonight where just drivers are just whether it's difference in pace or different braking markers or something like that. But yeah, just contact on the rear bumper, and obviously high-speed track like this is not hard to unsettle the car in front of you. But we'll wait and see. It looked like he was going to readdress it, but it doesn't look like he's been able to at this point. So wait and see what happens between those two cars.
With 5 cars left to pit, make that for Jason Fewens will come to pit lane, and that is the cloud of smoke he's leaving out the other side as he will rejoin the race. And for Fewens, it's inside the top 10. So this will be a good night at the office for him. Where does he resurface? Just in front of Jeff Thomas, and he's going to have fresh rubber on as well. So I'd say that is just about locked in for him. That's a phenomenal drive. That is going to be 5th place overall.
Yeah, that has been timed perfectly. Jason's just been flying under the radar tonight. He obviously, we saw him earlier making up a few spots in those opening couple of laps, but this has just been a fantastic drive. That middle step was fantastic, and he's timed it perfectly to come out right in front of this big battle pack. He's just going to get his head down now. He's going to have fresh tyres and the cars behind by a fair margin. Just quickly, if I can find it. So he's got a 6-lap advantage in tyres. So he's just got to get his head down and push on, and he'll comfortably pull away from this packet. Yeah, looking very, very good for a solid result tonight.
Yeah, so this will be phenomenal for Jason Fewens, and the best that we've seen from him thus far this season. Unfortunately for him, it's not been the easiest of campaigns. Has found himself in the waters. The last couple of our cars that needed to pit thus far in the race have now done so. It will be Blake Delaney, Michael Taliancic and Darren Walk all in the lane, which means race lead has just been assumed by John Latham. And whilst Michael Stewart's celebrating a few laps in terms of that race lead, now it's not even going to be 3rd place, because here comes Blake Delaney and he's going to nab that one away, and critically right behind Ken Latta. So he's made a meal of this one as Blake Delaney. A lot of opportunity to put clean lap times down, and with fresh rubber, Latta's going to be in trouble, and we're finally going to see the opportunity for the first time this season to see some of the best from Blake Delaney. And straight on the offensive, pins him to the inside down the hanger straight. Does Blake Delaney is going to be trying to open it back up when they get back down the end here to Stowe. It's the right-hander at the end of the back straight. Slightly new layout as we come off of Stowe. Up through what is now the Vale chicane, and he will be sat there for this time by. Whether or not Delaney's going to find some pace, that fresh rubber, he's only going to have it for a couple of laps worth before the tyres start to settle and stabilise. So he needs to get on the offensive, and he needs to do it now. Yeah,
he's also playing it a little bit smart. He's got a really good run off the corner. He's going to try and go to the inside. So this is quite smart. This is quite smart, though. Just heard he's actually clutching the car at the moment, but I was thinking for a second, this is actually quite smart. He knows he's got the pace at the moment, but instead of throwing everything at it to try and get the job done, he's going to actually try and wait this one out. Don't overheat the tyres, keep the rubber nice and cool, and then try and pick a good opportunity to make the pass. He's got the tyre advantage anyway. Doesn't have to stress about that. He's just got to pick the right time to go for that pass. You can see the amount of pace it's got coming off the corner, and I believe that was a clutch again.
So fuel saving.
Yeah, so
it's be big, and we've now got 8 laps left in this race. He pulls out, he's got a little bit of a run. Big old lift. Now Latta will be aware of that. There's no way that you lift and stop checking up the momentum of the car ahead. This is big though, because all of a sudden, Michael Stewart's playing himself back into this party. So Ken Latta will not like this at all. Could we end up with a 3-way scrap for 2nd place, the best of the rest, picking up John Latham's leftovers?
Yeah, interesting to see. Michael Stewart was 0.3 faster than Ken Latta that last lap. You can see still looking at the inside. He's got a really good run off the corner, but Ken Latta's still out in front. Makes me wonder if Delaney's just gone for a big undercut in fuel and trying to sort of save a bit of fuel behind Latta before trying to make the move to try and get into 2nd here. But you can see the car's coming off the corner beautifully. He's got so much straight line speed. The draft is obviously going to be helping him a fair bit. He's going to flick to the inside, but then just rolls out of it again. This is interesting. Yeah, I can't quite make sense of this one. How much has he underfueled that he needs to clutch and save enough fuel? He's just continually looking. He's going to be sweating on the back of Ken Latta at the moment.
And Michael Stewart, in the meantime, has broken out a bag of popcorn, maybe some marshmallows as well to go along with this one. He's going to have a phenomenal view, because when Delaney finally hits that number that he needs to get to, all of a sudden it's going to be turned up to 11, and the next car on the road is actually going to be Scotty Van Loon. So ignore that car that just went through the front of the shot. It's 9.5 seconds the lead for John Latham at this point in time, and Blake Delaney's just out there. Nearly there, nearly there. How much fuel? He's absolutely playing games with Ken Latta. But for anyone in this series, you do not climb into these cars at this age with this much experience and not become a cool customer.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just trying to protect him. He's going to flick to the inside. Doesn't look like Ken's going to fight him too much. Go straight down the inside. Job done. Ken might try to get the switch back as they exit the corner. He's going to try and get the run as they head down. He's going to be on the outside, so I'm not sure if he can stay there, but Ken's going to try anyway. But yes, Delaney will get the job done, move up into second place. And assuming he's hit his pit, still question marks whether or not he's actually hit his fuel number or not. Is he going to bolt through, or what's going to happen?
He's not clutching. There was not a clutch there as they come through underneath the bridge, down now into the Brooklands Priory corner. On the last 2 corners on the lap, and this time by, it's going to be 7 laps to go. So no, it'll be 6 laps left to go this time by the start-finish line. So you want to hope from Blake Delaney's perspective that he's got enough fuel on board that he can lead this. But do you remember? No, you wouldn't have been around actually at that point. That would have been Brady Baldwin that was around for that. Do you remember, ladies and gentlemen at home, Michael Taliancic's running out of fuel in 2 separate races over the last 2 seasons? One of them was Motegi, the other one was Zolder. Are we about to see a Blake Delaney without fuel to make it across that start-finish line?
Interesting to see. Very hard to believe. Blake, obviously, you said Blake Delaney's got a lot of experience. He's a very seasoned driver. Don't think he would have underfueled the car that much. He's definitely knowing what number he's got to hit. Whether or not he just gave it those couple of laps just to get enough fuel in the car to then make a run for second. Hard to imagine Blake misjudging his fuel that much. But interesting though, the battle for P2, or sorry, for P3, it's starting to close up a little bit. Stewart's just starting to reel it in, but looking at this battle at the moment on screen, you can see this is 8th all the way through to 15th. Jeff Thomas leading this battle at the moment, and there's a lot of cars behind. Darren Kirby in 10th place. Darren Lobb as well is trying to come back through the field. And obviously, this is containing 2nd and 3rd in the championship as well.
There's a number of drivers in this one that have had a phenomenal race tonight. Dave Kirby, 25th to 10th. Travis Hunt's +4. Not a huge night. Stuart Hall's gone backwards. Matty Parker's +6 from 20th to 14th. Christian Smart +16. Oh, there's contact ahead. It's Lobb. And is that Hall? No, it's Kirby. It's Kirby and Lobb that have gone backwards. So all of a sudden, we were just celebrating a great drive out of Dave Kirby. And unfortunately for him, it sounds like maybe Darren Lobb has roughed him up a little bit. And I was just about to say Christian Smart, he's +16. Well, it's going to become 2 more. Make it +18.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get a look. Get a look on screen at the moment of the replay, and yep, that's the aftermath. But let's see what's happened. So Lobb's got the move done. He's gone down the inside, and then they've gone to the braking. Did Lobb leave room? Go on board. So we're on board with David Kirby at the moment. This will be interesting to see what's happened here.
All the way back to the bridge.
Yep. So Lobb will go for the move up the inside. He's got the nose there. That's a good job to get that move there. And then has Kirby turned in a little bit too early? I have to look at that a few more times, maybe. But and it's sort of going off a little bit more. We're going to go back on board with Lobb. So this is actually continued on.
Oh, so I think, is this a redress?
Half a lap later we're being told. So Christian Smart's in there. You can see Lobb's gone right around the outside. Now Kirby is going to try and go for it.
There was some mic up that happened in the background, so something funky's going on. Race Control's still looking at this one in the meantime. Darren Lobb is back by Dave Kirby. In the meantime, Christian Smart's yielded a couple of spots he's had a big old wobble coming out of Cup's corner on the previous lap, which is right after all of that kicked off, and that's resulted in a whole bunch of junk. What we do know, what we can talk about at this point in time, is John Latham leads. That margin that was 9.5 seconds since Delaney's gotten fresh rubber and come back through, down to 7 seconds. So for me, Delaney's fuel number, I would say that's probably question mark over and done with. That one's been resolved. He's saved enough. Ladder's in second. Stewart's in fourth, who was on for a second place at one point and has led his first ever V8 Veterans laps. And Matt Vanderkran's starting to come back at him just a little bit as well. Now have a look at how close this second pack is. Everyone behind John Latham. Then it's the chasers. It's Jason Funes who leads them in 6th spot. He's got Michael Taliancic for a bunch of company in behind him. Taliancic coming back at Funes, but Funes with the fresher tyres. And it was Dan Hall. Dan Hall's just lost a spot to Jeff Thomas, which is the next battle pack as well. So we're going to keep drifting through the field. Why? Because there's still so much action going on. Late the V8 veterans, and that's the two teammates. We're going to go side by side through the older layout of the Vale chicane.
Yeah, I just noticed the camera just swung away, but yeah, I was looking at it thinking the teammates are getting into it now, so I don't know how that was going to go. Jeff Thomas still out in front. But yeah, they've got through there fine. You can see just in the background. So yeah,
to John from Racecraft, by the way, just jumped in and said John Latham must be all that Racecraft rig that he's running. So team sponsor always on board, and it's good to have John from Racecraft. Dan Hall gets down the outside of Jeff Thomas, and that would be that move just about done, although it's not done at this point in time. And Hall's on the outside, and then we come for the run through to Vale, which is the left-handed kink here, and yields the spot, which provides an opening for Travis Hunt. They're lucky they're teammates.
Oh man, that could have made it very ugly as well, but that battle is not over yet. The teammates are still going at it. Travis Hunt has got the run there. He's going to take the position away from him, so that'll be Travis Hunt moving up into, I believe, P9. Jeff Thomas will go to P10, but look behind. You've actually got Stewie Hall, and there's Darren Lobb as well, all over the rear bumper of him at the moment. So these positions are not over and sorted yet. 3 to go. Darren Lobb's lighting the car up. He's going to go for the inside on Stewie Hall as they run up to Stowe. Up the inside, job done. Now he's going to set his eyes up ahead for Jeff Thomas. So this battle pack just has stayed fairly fierce the entire time, and we're interested to see Christian Smart also just behind as well. We'll see if he can make his way through the field.
Interesting to note is the difference a couple of seasons make. Season 15, or even season 14, I think it might have been, just about every second or third week we were talking to Christian Smart, and now look at him, he's struggling. And we haven't seen a great drive out of Christian Smart in a very, very long time. And Michael Stewart, on the other hand, is the flip side of that one, as is Jason Funes at the moment. But Stewart strung a few more together.
So just looking at Darren Lobb. I mean, he's done it.
Oh, never mind. It's Stuart Hall that's going to get a little bit of a rough up from Christian Smart, and that's going to combo into another rough up with Dave Kirby. And there's another car that's gone off to the left-hand side out there, and I think that might have been Scotty Van Loon.
Yeah, Van Loon off into the wall. Not sure what's happened to there. But yeah, there was multiple things happening up in that one as well. You can see Darren Lobb had a big go at, sorry, off track. But Jeff Thomas had a big go at Jeff Thomas and got that move done at the same time. Yeah, that was going on between the cars behind. So that battle pack just went off for a few seconds.
Well, this is way back at the start of lap 38, and this will be how the pass was done for Travis Hunt. I'm assuming there's probably going to be a little bit of a wiggle. Thomas covers to the right-hand side, though. That looks like that's team orders. Jeff Thomas slots in. That was very, very well orchestrated, and there was not too much of a fight put up there at all. Then we'll go through to the tail end of the same lap, and this is all that happens. So for Jeff Thomas, you know what? Jeff Thomas is fuel saving. He's in a fuel hole, and there's a small gap that's been opened up there for Christian Smart to shove his nose by Stewie Hall, and it was duly taken, and there is Van Loon. So that solved 3 separate questions, all in the one bit of camera work. So that was very, very well done by the producer there. And now Travis Hunt's got pace. And just when you think on the final lap, this is the final lap. Indeed, no, sorry, John Latham's just started the final lap. has only just started. So there is a couple more corners to go. Then there'll be one more lap for that battle pack that's in and around there. And Darren Lobb has now bought onto the back end of this one as well. So Darren Lobb, Travis Hunt, Dan Hall are going to be on it. Jason Fewens and Michael Taliancic are going to go for it. Nearly to the back of Fewens is Taliancic. So it's all on. At the other side of 40 laps, when you come to Legacy Silverstone, you expect the historic Grand Prix layout to create great racing. It's got the stories. It's the British version of Bathurst. And it's still creating them.
He's going to get the switch back, but you're going to be on the outside here. It's going to go back for him, but Darren Lobb is going to get that one done. That's a masterful move. Just how you get that done is quite tricky. And now Christian Smart's also going to line up as well, but he's going to be on the outside of Travis Hunt. So now
he's most of the way towards that start-finish line. He will join the names of Grand Prix legends past. Senna, Prost, Schumacher, Hill. In the meantime, the guys in the background are trying to bring back the Biff as they squabble for everything. But for John Latham, it's the journey home. He's done just about everything he needs to. 2 more corners. He gets to celebrate a long, long time between drinks. Has not had a podium. Has not had a great run in the V8 Veterans for a long time. And that will be a sigh of relief. The form hasn't gone anywhere. It was just hiding. And tonight he wins a 40-lap game of hide and seek where he saw it at every single corner.
Yeah, 10 ladder. Pulls it across the line in P3, just holding off Michael Stewart, who's coming at him hard those last couple of laps. And all this big contact down the field. David Kirby's gone around. As we got the finishes at the moment, lots of cars getting excited down the final corner. Dan Hall, fantastic job to come home in P8. Darren Lobb coming home in P9. You got the Travis Hunt behind as well. So that was an intense little fight there. Last couple of cars got Chris Blanchard was off the track, just coming back onto the track, and Greg Sharp was around as well. So something's happened there on in the closing few corners. So yeah, this race, even though we were coming up to the final lap, it definitely did not slow down at all.
And they will all get back to the line. Cipra there in 25th place as well. So it's finally all starting to settle and calm. But for Dave Kirby, gets home in 21st, a little bit offline there. And that's a teammate as well down the inside. Not what you want from Paul Warwick.
Oh, yeah, it just pinched the rears and it just went around. It was, did nothing wrong, just the rears just locked. And now we've got Greg Sharp. That's a big move to try and do. There's contact and that's a big hit for Blanchard. That explains why Blanchard was around. Just go back and have a look at that one again. And just that was a big dive and that's the second time we've seen that type of an incident tonight. We're just wrong place, wrong time, getting caught up in it. And that's a few spots dropped for Chris Blanchard out of that one.
My word. Well, for John Latham, that was absolutely his cup of tea. For a few extra drivers out there, unfortunately, the last few laps, everything come undone. And they will settle it down for the home of British motor racing. It has been run, won, and decided. John Latham will get home by a fraction under 7 seconds in the end. It was a comfortable drive from him. Only harassed in the pit stops in the middle of the race. But for Blake Delaney, after 3 rough starts to the season, it's number 4, where he finds all of his pace. He's fallen afoul of pit stop strategy, to be fair. Things have just not gone his way 3 rounds into the season. Number 4 finally ticks it off. Michael Stewart, phenomenal drive, leads his first ever laps of V8 Veterans. Played the pit stop strategy and it didn't work out, unfortunately, tonight. Raw pace was good from him, but unfortunate. Matt van der Kraan there as well, just in behind him. Jason Fewens had a cracking battle with Michael Taliancic, and I bet you between the two of those guys, I'll be saying, that was actually quite fun in the tail end of that one. Dan Hall will get home in 8th in what was the most interesting battle pack to keep your eyes on the dying laps. Darren Lobb has had a race of ups, of downs, of sideways, and of redresses. And that will be debated into the week for Travis Hunt to come home in top 10. After that one is going to be an okay result for him. Christian Smart returned to somewhat form. Was involved in all of that mess in the battle pack that was right there. Jeff Thomas and Paul Warwick behind him. Matty Parker, 14th. It's been a while from Matty since we've seen a real turn of speed from him. Stewie Hall, Michael Quain, Damien Cairns on the podium last week. This week, 17th. Peter Vanderkraan, Tim Nicol, and Chad Lewis round out your top 20, Mez.
Yeah, and we'll flick over to 21st. Dave Kirby, second in the championship. That's going to be hurting. Obviously, we saw that little bit of contact at the end. Bruce Tannock as well was in top 10, but now coming home in 22nd in this race. Darren Crosby will come home in 23rd. Stephen Banks, 24th. Rick Sibra in 26th. Brenton O'Brien will come home in 26th. Dean Favell will finish 27th. Paul Burns in P28. Robbie Griffiths home in 29. Chris Miller home in P30. We'll flick over the page. Damien Cross in 31st. Chris Blanchard, we saw caught up in that late race incident in 32nd. Scotty's favourite person in the world, Scotty McCune, home in 33rd. Greg Sharp home in 24th. Chris Barrage, really good race, getting up a few spots into 35, did start down the back of the grid. David Nash home in 36th. Todd Duggan in 37th. Darren Goosey in 38th place. Robert Christel, first of our cars, a lap down. Scotty Van Loon, probably a night to forget for them. We'll flick over and it should be rounded out with Stephen Kennedy and Stephen Grumley involved in an opening lap. Internet connection issues dropping him out of that race. And Jamie McKnight, did not take the grid.
Yep, so that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the race results. But now, time to talk to the driver of the number 24. John Latham has been a very, very long time coming, buddy. You looked like you found your mojo back. Well, first and foremost, is the mojo back?
Hey guys, I think so. I fixed my old pedals, my hydraulics. I've set up my screen. It's nice. I spent a bit of time setting my sim rig up, and I'm real happy with it. So yeah, I'll put in a little bit of practice. I'm still a little bit kind of getting over the cold that everyone seems to have at the moment, but yeah, things are looking much better, mate. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a throwaway basket case last week, and Sandown, I wasn't happy with the brake pedal for a bit. Now it's sweet, but yeah, I just couldn't drive the car then, so I think I missed the first round or something. I can't even remember.
I was just saying to Mez, unfortunately, he wasn't here to witness your pace. The last time that we saw you with pace, a lot of problems with execution. There was, I think you found every way to get a penalty across the season. Every race, it was just a new, different penalty. One from race control, one from cutting the last corner at Magny Core on the very last lap of the race. You just found them all. The execution tonight, on point.
Yeah, I was really happy with that. I don't know if you caught it, but I in the first corner, I think just before the second pit stop or something, I had a bit of an old person's moment and rocked up to the first corner and went, oh hey, I'm supposed to turn here, and then ran wide and got it off track. But apart from that, spot on. My fuel strategy was actually good for once, even though I didn't even know what I was going to do with fuel, and I felt like I was driving. I feel like I'm kind of driving a little bit better than I was anyway. So yeah, really happy with that. That's great, and well done to Blake. He absolutely came out of nowhere. I couldn't believe that, and well done to Ken on third place, and unlucky for Michael Stewart in fourth. I thought he was going to come out around us, but I don't know if he had a problem or whether it was just a long pit stop because he short-fielded in the first one. I'm not too sure.
He harassed you a little bit there, didn't he, Michael Stewart? Really put on a show between you two. was in a really, really good spot for a little while where we thought you might go toe-to-toe, but he didn't put up a fight. He made sure that he did everything he needed to for his strategy. You know, that's what it's been like. What have you made thus far of this season with the pit stop strategy? Because it's 2 compulsory pit stops has effectively changed the game.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not 100% sure what to think of it yet. I guess for me it's just extra work to work out what I've got to do with fuel. But definitely for some tracks I think it'll throw open a lot more strategy. I think here, you know, if you got pretty good pace, I can't, you know, like, yeah, I guess there's more strategy, so you kind of got to pick what you want to go with, what you think. I thought running around that I'd kind of split them in two pretty even ones, try look after the tyres, try drive the car straight. And I thought with the having a bit lighter car would give me a bit better pace around here, which I thought would probably be an advantage.
Mate, in terms of things, good to see the return to form thus far. Your opportunity to thank the sponsors to make it possible for you.
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the guys in the team. They're having, you know, they're a great bunch and they're having a lot of fun. And you know, it's great to give them a bit of a hand. They always have a couple of questions, and it's great to see them improving. Unfortunately, we didn't have our master strategist Bruce with us this week. He's off. I'd also like to thank John at Racecraft and all the guys down there. You know, I popped down and had a look the other day. There's always some very envious machines down there to have a look at. So yeah, thanks very much to them. Cheers for you guys for the broadcast and the whole Vets team behind the scenes for all the effort they put in. Yeah, it's pretty fun league.
Mate, so the next time we see John, give him a big old high five and tell him Scotty says hi, mate. So it'd be good to catch up with him for a fair while. He popped in to say hello on the stream, by the way, so he knew exactly how well you were doing here tonight. He's always one of those community members as well. Thank you very much for your time, John. Congratulations on the race win here tonight, mate, and good to see the return to pace.
Yeah, thanks very much.
And then, Mez, I believe you've got Ken Ladder on standby.
Yep, here with Ken. Good bounce back tonight. Obviously, Monza wasn't a high point for your season, but yeah, a solid qualifying and a solid result. P3 tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, last week was a bit of a shocker. But I felt that I had pace there, but unfortunately didn't go my way. But tonight was an interesting race. I felt that I would have had a bit more in the race, but watching the lines that Latham was taking, particularly in that last sector, I knew it was protecting his tyres better than what I was, and you know, I couldn't really, I didn't adjust, and it costed me. But I was lucky to get where I'd got, and I think Delaney really shocked me.
Yeah, because yeah. John was just saying earlier that, yeah, when Delaney popped out where he did, it sort of caught him off guard too. So that obviously that fuel strategy was, you know, we saw you utilise it as well. Your last pit stop was significantly shorter than the drivers around you. It gave you definitely a bit of a leg up in position. So obviously that fuel strategy that's been introduced this season's helping a lot of drivers sort of get themselves forward just by using a bit of an alternate strategy.
Yeah, well, Stuart was very quick tonight, and I honestly didn't think I did enough in that the second stint to come out in front of him. But with having Greg Sharp in between us, and I've managed to get ahead of him. And this track is not the easiest to pass, particularly if you're on one or two lap older tyres. But you know, happy with third for tonight. No incident points, so looking forward.
Yeah. No, solid effort. So you did see Michael start to catch you a little bit at the end, but you obviously mentioned tyres was not the in their best spot. Did it feel more like a tyre race tonight than a fuel race? I did sort of mention earlier that it felt like the tyres were dropping off quite quickly. We did notice a few drivers through the field that once they got out and did a few laps, the tyres start to sort of cliff fairly quick. Were you sort of seeing the same thing, that trying to keep the tyres underneath you was really critical in this, especially in that middle stint?
Yeah, I think it definitely was, and it was all line orientated, most definitely, you know, and taking the pressure off the rear tyre, and some of us were, some of us weren't, and obviously the people that weren't suffered a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, so yep, good result. So obviously Taliancic will finish a little bit further down, so it's going to help your championship a little bit. But don't know where we're going to for the next one, but you're looking forward to the next round.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a clue where we're going. So
I think Long Beach was just whispered into my ear.
oh, Long Beach. Well, I think we've got a Scops weekend, so hopefully we'll have plenty of practice before the week even starts. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. A new track always brings up new opportunities. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, before we let you go, who do you want to thank for getting it done?
Well, I mean, obviously, the broadcast you guys put on, always enjoy that. Thanks to Race Control and all the blokes at SSR. Wave Runner Performance, Smith & Sons, Epoxy, DGT Custom, Australian Laminating Company, JK Steins, Nolan, Aftershock PC, and West End Mazda and Too Easy Finance. Thank you so much.
All right, good drive again. Congrats on the podium.
Cheers, thank you.
And that is going to just about wrap us up here from Legacy Silverstone. It's been an honour to come back to a circuit that is fond in my heart, just from the layout that it takes and some of the games that we played growing up. This was the predominant British layout. Ladies and gentlemen, like you just heard, next week we'll be heading to the street circuit of Long Beach. To one of the oldest circuits in Britain, to one of the bumpiest right around the world. You've got to stop the car, you've got to point it, you've got to shoot it. It's all about maintaining momentum, but who will be looking after their tyres? That's going to be the key factor from Long Beach. We'll see you there next weekend. But for now, I did say at the top of the show, I was going to explain something when we got to the end. It was a sound I made. You may have to go back and listen to it, ladies and gentlemen. My final words before we throw to the end of the show is, what sound does a cat in a race car make? Go back to the start of the stream if you want to find out the answer to that one, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week from Long Beach.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.